Aloha, my Christmas crackers. I am having to do a voiceover for this because I filmed this video and then I realised that my microphone had not picked up. So let's start this all over again. I am going to be watching the video that I just made and I'm going to be talking and filling you in on what's going on. So I can tell you weather-wise this week it has been a mixture again. It's like, I mean, what's going on? It's been like, sometimes it's been 4 degrees, sometimes it's been 15. It's been kind of all over the place. So it's been extremely windy though, because that just seems to be a thing this year. I've worn this week quite a few kind of what I'd call like slightly powdery freshies, I think is probably a good way to say it. And I've worn a few like classic this time of year style cozy things, but I only had a couple of days at work this week and then I've been on my Christmas holidays. I'm recording this on the Friday because I am then going to be going on Sunday with my husband down to see my parents for Christmas. So yeah, I mean, I'm just really hyped up now because I'm planning on the perfumes I'm taking down with me for Christmas. And this year I've just decided I want to wear stuff that I just really, really love. I'm not going to try and theme it particularly. I'm just going to take some decants of my favourite perfumes because I think I'm going to be coming back down to London on the Friday, which means I will have time to film my what I wore last week with the proper bottles, and then I'll just be able to show you what I chose, and you'll see some of my favourites for kind of cosy weather and stuff. I guess I don't think is going to like offend my mum too much, you know, because she can be very, very sensitive to perfumes. So I'm going to try and be sensible. So first up we have Eau Duelle. This is the EDP. Beautiful bottle. I just fancied a green vanilla, and at this time of year, because the EDP is kind of more smoky, incensey than the original, than the EDT, I should say. It just kind of feels like it fits really well for this time of year. Although I have to say, there's not a huge difference between the two. Like, the EDP is that, well, the notes they give you is bourbon, vanilla, incense, cypriol oil and pink pepper, but I feel sure it's still sharing some of the EDT notes. That, for instance, has, I think, maybe black tea or something like that in it. So it's still got this sheerness. I just find that because of that incense note, this has a slightly more smoky, incensey smell to it. And I don't feel like the vanilla is maybe quite as prominent here. But maybe that's just because, you know, the incense matches up with it. And I just love it. It smells great on my skin. It suits me. It's a really beautiful perfume. I will be doing a video at some point about the little samples of perfume parlour perfumes that I've tried. They don't actually make a dupe for Eau Duelle, but they make a dupe for a couple of perfumes that I think smell very much like Eau Duelle. So I'll be able to kind of give you some suggestions as to maybe how to get an affordable version of this. Because at the moment, like, most of the other perfumes that smell a bit like Eau Duelle are also really expensive. Some of them are far more expensive, in fact, than Eau Duelle. But if you want it, I got both of my bottles on eBay, and I do think the EDT is a more affordable one, and I think they're so close in terms of how they smell. I think you'd be happy with either if you like the general Eau Duelle profile. Next up, I wore a really lovely perfume, and I have to say, when I first got this one, I didn't think it lasted very long, but when I wore it at this time of year, when it's a bit colder than when I first bought it, this lasted on me all day. So this is Concrete Rain by Allsaints, and the notes here are top notes of rain notes and lily, mid notes of orris and orchid, base notes cashmere wood, cottonwood and musk. So yeah, I was only really intending to wear this in the morning, and then I just ended up wearing it all day because it lasted on me really, really nicely. It lasted on my skin for ages. It's subtle, you know, a subtle skin scent, but I really knew I was wearing it. So I just topped it up like later in the evening and I just kept it on all day. This one, it definitely has some crossovers with CK2. It doesn't smell exactly the same as CK2, but it definitely is in the same kind of realm because they're both like quite cool smelling, you know, petrichor perfumes. They've got this kind of rain on warm pebble kind of smell to it. This one I think is a slightly easier wear. I think it's slightly sweeter. It's not quite as complex, so it's kind of almost just a classic freshie with a hint of that kind of rain smell in it. Really beautiful. Sadly, both this and CK2 have both been discontinued, but I think if you're looking on the grey market, you're probably going to find Concrete Rain for much cheaper than you would CK2. So if you like things like CK2, I think you'd probably really like Concrete Rain. And I tried another one from this range from Allsaints, and it had loads of that tarry aroma chemical in it, and I really didn't like it. It's the one that's actually compared to Eau Duelle, oddly enough. I can't remember what that's called. I can't remember. I think maybe it's the metal one, but that one had like that tarry, unpleasant smell in it, so I couldn't get along with it. But it did also have a little bit of an Eau Duelle smell. But yeah, Concrete Rain, I found it really comforting. It's not cozy in a kind of warm, spicy, cozy way. It's cozy in a clean, fresh, wear it around the house kind of skin scent, comfort blanket kind of scent without being warm. And I wore a few of those this week actually, so that was obviously just the mood I was in. So next up, we've got a Lush perfume that I smell this in a very specific way, and I find it slightly Christmassy. But I know that not everyone agrees with me. Some people definitely do. I've seen the reviews on Fragrantica and lots of people feel the same about this perfume, but some people really don't, and some people have commented on my videos to say that they don't smell it the same way that I do. But I mean, it doesn't really matter too much anyway, because this is discontinued. This is What Would Love Do from Lush. Very sadly, not one they make anymore. I always vote for this when they vote for like perfumes and scents that we'd like to bring back and have as like body sprays or perfumes again for the Lush Times community that they do quite often. They've got some of those out now, obviously, as well. But this one never seems to come through, which is a real shame. I bought this because it's got lavender in it, and I love lavender in perfumes, but I don't find this to be very prominent in the lavender. It says tangerine, lavender and benzoin as the main notes here. What this smells like to me, I do get a hint of citrusy, tangerine-y smell, and maybe I get a tiny hint of lavender, but this for me is just a benzoin bomb. So this is a very deep, dark, rich, spicy smelling, warm benzoin. And it almost has a almost slightly burnt quality to it, which is what I find with a lot of the perfumes from Lush that have lots of benzoin in. There's a slightly strange, bitter, burnt smell in them. I even get that in Supermilk. So this one though, it reminds me of something like a very dense, rich gingerbread that has been made with treacle, so it's almost black in colour. That's what I think this smells like. So, or like you could say like a really dark ginger biscuit made with treacle. Yeah, so it just kind of smells Christmassy to me. I find this very warm. I find it very comforting. I find it warm, spicy and yummy. And I wore this when I was at home, and it's just a really nice one. My husband likes this perfume as well. I think it's a real shame they don't do it anymore. If you ever see it on eBay for a good price, you should snap this one up. If you like the idea of like a very deep citrusy gingerbread, I just think it's beautiful. So yeah, it's a real good one. So next up is the one that I'm actually wearing today, because I'm filming this on the Friday. So I'm on my own today. My husband's at work, and then he's out tonight. So on occasions like this, I like to wear kind of more vintagey perfume. So the stuff that traditionally he's not crazy about, but I really like. So I'm wearing Just Musk from Mayfair. This is one of those perfumes that, very unfortunately, I don't think you can get it outside of the UK. You can probably get it in Europe if you look for the right websites, but you can't get this, I don't think, in the USA or Canada or, outside of, the general kind of Eurozone area. But I just really like this. I think probably if you could imagine something like Jovan Musk, but maybe a little less sexy and a little more innocent, mixed with a slightly powdery, baby powdery kind of scent, then you'd get something like Just Musk. I don't really quite know how to put my finger on why this one is so special and why I think this is so delicious. I think it's quite sweet. I think it's got powderiness without being overly powdery. It smells very vintage when you first spray it, but then it just becomes this kind of this blanket of gentle, sweet floral musk. So the notes in this are coriander, bergamot, lily of the valley in the top. Mid notes are rose, iris and jasmine, and I think the rose and iris are the strongest florals here. Base notes, musk, sandalwood and cedar. There's tons of sandalwood in this. It is musky, but it's kind of, I guess, a bit more like the Parfum de Coeur skin musk kind of musk, in that it's a little bit more kind of, like I said, like kind of innocent and clean and warm and just a beautiful skin without it smelling like in any way animalic to me. Like, I don't get anything animalic from Just Musk. I just think this is so delicious. The other thing that I think has a little bit of a crossover with this is the dry down of Le Mont from Coty. That is a kind of easier to wear, I think slightly more rosy and more floral version of Chanel No. 5. So Just Musk isn't quite the same in terms of like aldehydes. It's not got that really fizziness going on. But it's, yeah, I just am loving this one, so I'm really enjoying wearing this today. So next up we have My Only Wish from Rive, which is a dupe for Cacharel's Yes I Am. I wore this one to work on, I think maybe this was Tuesday. And it was so fun on Tuesday because I took a bunch of my perfumes that I wanted to declutter, but I don't think I'm really going to make any money out of if I sell them, so it's not really worth me selling them. Or like some of my Demeters that I've taken decants from that I know that they're going to leak if I try and post them because they've got screw tops, so I gave them away. As you can see, like, it's hard to show in this one, but I've actually used quite a lot of this already. So it's down to about here. If you can see, it's really hard to see because it's so dark, but I have actually got a bit of a dent in this one because I really like this perfume. And when I go to work, I have Pascal Morabito's Amer, which also is a dupe for Cacharel Yes I Am. So, you know, that's the one I top up with when I'm at work because the Rive one doesn't last incredibly well. But yeah, so I took a bunch of perfumes in so I could give them away to my colleagues, and it's so fun. It's always so fun, and it's always really interesting to see who likes what. Anyway, this is it's a very sweet and syrupy perfume, but it has a dark quality to it from the spices that are in here. And then it has like a lactonic and caramelly thing as well. It's like such an interesting perfume. It has cardamom in this, which is, I think, what gives a slightly plasticky, doll-heady smell. And I love that smell in perfumes. So the notes here are raspberry, tangerine, lemon and bergamot. And the raspberry here is so syrupy and yummy. Orange blossom, ginger flower, gardenia, jasmine, rose and amber in the mid. The base is caramel, milk, vanilla, cardamom, coumarin, benzoin, licorice, sandalwood and amber. Absolutely delicious. I really like wearing this one. I think it's lovely. I can't remember if this is one of the ones that I think has the wrong date, because some of these dupes on Fragrantica, they've been given dates that are from before the things that they're duping. And I don't actually think that Rive make original perfumes. I think they really are just a really good like dupe house. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like Fragrantica often just get the dates wrong on perfumes, but you know, I mean, not dissing. That's a difficult database to keep going, you know, and it's hard sometimes to track down any information about when things were actually made. But yeah, this is definitely a dupe for Cacharel's Yes I Am. You can even see from the colours, like it's got the black and the red, and it's very much based on the bottle in terms of its colour scheme. So next on the list, I mean, I just had to. Almond, lime, pear. Oh, so good. Beautiful vanilla in the base. Burberry Brit. This is the EDP. This is the one that I like in cold weather. I wore this one on Monday to work because we watched the Muppets Christmas Carol at work or after work on Monday. So I wanted something that I thought smelled yummy and that was really cozy and lush, but at the same time wasn't going to be so strong that it was like super overwhelming to people I was sitting around with. And I think this is a beautiful perfume, so it's just so delicious. So this is almond, lime and pear in the top, mid notes of candied almond, sugar and peony, base notes vanilla, tonka bean, amber and mahogany. And for me this is mainly almond, pear and then that kind of Tonka vanilla, but you do get like a tartness from the lime. I don't feel like it's a very natural smelling lime. I think both this and the EDT, which I now own so that I can wear it in warmer weather, I think they both smell like the lime that you get in like the plastic bottles, you know, like the long life lime that you cook with. I think that's what it reminds me of, really, to be honest. And so I can see that some people might find the Burberry Brits a little bit synthetic, but I find them synthetic in a way I really enjoy. You know, like I don't mind if something smells like a gummy bear or, you know, all that kind of thing, or like a, you know, a UHT or whatever. What I don't like is the synthetic things that smell like actual chemicals. But I really like Burberry Brit. I think it's such a beautiful perfume, and I think it performs really nicely in cold weather. The EDP particularly, it's really beautiful. So then the next thing I wore was Baby Powder by Demeter, and I hadn't worn this one for ages, but when I was getting rid of some of my what's it called, some of my big Demeter bottles with the screw tops, they're like 120 ml. I had this baby powder one in 120 ml as well as my smaller little square bottle, because I didn't have as many perfumes when I first got this one, but I just don't need to have like 150 ml of baby powder because I'm not going to wear that much. So I decided to give away my big bottle, and I've kept this smaller one. And when I was like sniffing the perfumes, and like when I was like taking decants, when I was checking they were okay before I took them into work, I just was like, oh, I can't believe I haven't worn this one for so long. It's so sweet and tasty. I love it. So the baby powder from Demeter, it does have a powdery quality. This says powdery notes, musk and floral notes. But to me, although it has a bit of a powdery texture, as you would expect from something called baby powder, I think the actual smell is closer to baby oil. And it doesn't have an oily texture, but it just is, it's a much more intense and sweet scent than you get in actual baby powder. It is much closer to me to Johnson's baby oil, and I love the smell of that. I have that still. It's another one that, although it's not like warm and cozy, it has a very comforting feel to it because it is so, you know, evocative of being a child, you know, that kind of smell. And then it's just one that's like Nivea, continued throughout my whole life. I've always had baby oil, and so I've always had that kind of scent, you know. So in the same vein, I also wore Clean, and this is classic Clean. So this one, I think it's that it also has a little bit of a powderiness, but obviously not as powdery as baby powder. But I think it really it smells like you've washed your clothes with a beautiful detergent, a really good quality detergent, and then you've put them in the tumble dryer with a sheet of Bounce that is a lavender Bounce. I say that as someone who doesn't own a tumble dryer, so I don't use Bounce, but I assume that's what they're called. Laundry dryer sheets, I think they are. If you got like a really nice sweet lavender one and you put your stuff in the tumble dryer, the warm clothes, when they come out, they're going to smell like classic Clean, Simply Clean. It's just such a lovely perfume. Very sadly, they don't make this one anymore. So if you see it anywhere for a good price and you like clean laundry scents that aren't too soapy, this is the one for you. Just grab it. I really love this perfume. I think it's so delicious. And I don't understand why this is the one that they've discontinued. But anyway, I added the notes from this from the website back when they used to sell it still into Fragrantica in the comments section because they never had the right notes for this. Or they only had like a couple of them. But the notes for Simply Clean are bergamot, cardamom and lavender in the top. Mid notes of mimosa, fresh laundry accord, aquatic blossom. Base notes, fresh hinoki wood, white musk and heliotrope. So I don't think I'll take this one down with me when I go to see my mum and dad because I've got some little rollerballs. So I'll probably take like just the clean laundry or something with me. Just because they're really good to just put on first thing in the morning when I go down to see the family with a coffee, you know, before I have my shower, before I get properly dressed. You know, because my mum's really sensitive to perfume. So first thing in the morning, I don't want to go down there like fully, you know, in a strong scent. But anyway, it's such a good one. So next up, I have So basically, I was testing out 2 dupes of this perfume, and then I ended up just wearing this one. So I wore Burberry Goddess on, this was on Saturday, last week. So this is such a good perfume. It smells really great. It's a really easy reach when I'm in the right mood for it. Very occasionally I do wonder if there's like a tiny bit of that tarry aroma chemical in, but like sometimes I think I can smell it and sometimes I think I can't. Although, as I've said before, I think it's definitely possible there's some patchouli in this one. And I think maybe that's what I'm getting a tiny hint of. But it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful lavender and vanilla perfume, and I love lavender, and I do think that this particular Burberry has a fabulous vanilla. Is a fabulous vanilla. I think it's got 3 vanillas. So it says vanilla, lavender, cacao, ginger in the top, vanilla caviar in the mid, and then vanilla absolute in the base. It's really, really good. So I've tried a couple of dupes. I'm not going to talk about those in this video because I have made a proper video for that. There I've got a more in-depth talk about those 2 dupes. So you might as well watch that one instead of me doing like a curtailed version here. But yeah, I did actually wear this one, and I also wore Lattafa Angham, and I wore Maison Alhambra's Athena. So those are the Burberry Goddess perfumes that I wore on that particular Saturday. But yeah, this is a classic, right? I love the cacao in this. I love the ginger in it. I love the vanilla. And I love the lavender. This is such a beautiful perfume. It's probably the only kind of designer perfume from the last maybe like 5 years that I've liked. You know, I just so often don't like new designer perfumes. Like normally I smell them and I'm like, nah, you know, or they're just so chemically. But I think Burberry Goddess is such a good one. This is the original Goddess. The Intense is full of tar, but this is good. So guys, on Christmas Day, that will be the last part of my perfume display videos. Now, there are loads of perfumes I've got that aren't in those displays, so you know, don't worry. Like when you see the one that's musk, it doesn't include most of my goldeny musk because they're in quite plain bottles, so I don't normally put those on display. The ones that I've got on display tend to be bottles that I find interesting and I like to look at. Or of course there are some that maybe I'm just really worried about being in the light for some reason. Like, so my Lush ones, I don't put those out on display most of the time. I think I've only got one, which is Hungarian Franz. And all the others, you know, they're hidden away in the dark because they're so full of naturals. I don't want them to actually be out on display. But yeah, so I hope you really enjoy that. So I hope that you guys have an absolutely wonderful Christmas. I really hope if you're with your family, you have a good time. And, you know, if you're anything like me, try not to talk about anything too serious, just in case you know, we all have our differences. And sometimes I know it can be really difficult at Christmas. Anyone who is on their own this Christmas or who have lost loved ones, I really hope you manage to get some rest. I hope you manage to still have a nice break and a nice Christmas. And I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Christmas break. Thank you so much for watching my videos. You are all fabulous, and yeah, you're wonderful. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you on the other side of Christmas. Bye.